You know, a lot of the times we are dealing with like those really awkward questions that needs to be asked up front when we're dealing with anybody on an interpersonal level. And this is kind of like prying the answer out of the lion's mouth, okay? So there are these uncomfortable questions or uncomfortable discussions that need to be had with you and another person. I feel that it's somebody that you are emotionally invested in. It could also be something new that is coming into your life, somebody who's kind of like wild and unruly, possibly even unstructured and somewhat of a destabilizing energy that you're not completely comfortable with in your life. So what I am sensing here is it is actually very important for you to have those discussions up front so that you know where you stand with one another. So this is kind of like the merger between the human and the beast. So you're dealing with someone who's very, very different from you. And I felt like this energy was there even, for the weekly reading. You're dealing with somebody who's almost like a different species just because you are so different in your values, in your philosophical outlook, in your beliefs, in your cultural background. So that's something I'm sensing in very early, okay? So, like, it's like prying answers, getting straight answers from the lion's mouth, but doing it in a very diplomatic and also in a not in an overtly forceful way. Okay, so diplomacy is going to go get you a long way for this month. Okay, so be careful about that. And I believe this one, yeah, this one came out first. The Ten of Wands, King of Swords reverse. Interesting. So the Ten of Wands indicates, oh, so sorry, I got distracted. So Ten of Wands is basically, taking on a lot of responsibilities, but in this situation, what I am sensing is somebody's got their wall up, okay? Someone is like kind of like hiding behind their responsibilities, either using, responsibilities to like work responsibilities especially, or keeping themselves extra busy to avoid facing, uncomfortable truths about life. Okay, is what I'm sensing here next to the strength card. It's kind of like you're trying to get answers from somebody and they're putting up a wall. And then the King of Swords, which is indicative of communication, is in the reverse position. So there is someone is not spilling. So someone that you're dealing with, possibly an air sign, an Aquarius, a Gemini, or a Libra, they're not spilling the beans, and it is frustrating to you. But I do feel there is a good reason why they are on the defense, why they are so walled up, why they are so guarded. I feel there is a reason for it, and I do feel patience is going to be required. I feel that the answers will come. It's also Mercury in retrograde, so you're not going to get like there might be miscommunication between you and another party, especially if you both have like come from very different spaces or very different times in your life. So there's definitely a values a differences in values, in beliefs here. So it just jumbles the communication issues. So what I am sensing here is, at least wait until June 11th and you're going to get the satisfying answer or the truthful answer that you're looking for. And at the same time, I do sense here that this person, that air sign, or somebody who's very, very rational, somebody who's very like almost even distant and cold, they are that way because they've been through a lot. Okay, so they're putting on a wall and they don't really want anybody, encroaching upon their little bubble. So it's actually, I'm just sensing here that it is important for you to let things be for now, at least. If this evasive behavior continues on into the future, after Mercury in retrograde, you can demand a straight answer, okay? It is just problematic for this month. And, well, let's see what comes out next. Yeah, Three of Pentacles. So it's somebody that you're going to be working in close proximity with, is what I'm sensing. Therefore, you need to know what they're about. So they're keeping their mouth shut about a lot of things, which is not jiving well with you on the work front. So it is going to be problematic for you because you want to be very professional and you thrive in a traditional work environment. So because of it, I do sense that it's going to be problematic for you, okay? Especially if you're dealing with this person on the work front. For those of you who are romantically linked with this person, I do feel there are blockages regarding trust issues, okay? So so we have the air sign and we have a fire sign. These are external and external to you. You're an earth sign. So what I am sensing here is a lot of you might be debating between possibly two romantic suitors. A lot of you might be coupled up with one, longing for the other, or coupled up with this air sign longing for the fire sign. They're both in the reverse position, so I do feel that they might not know about each other if you're juggling, if you Virgos are juggling two suitors for any reason. They might not know about each other. So, good for you, I guess. But it is going to be, it's very karmic. So you're also showing up in the reverse position here. So yeah, for those of you who are juggling two people, just be very careful that you don't get found out during the Mercury in retrograde. In general, I don't feel Virgos, you tend to stick to one person. But I do feel that because both of these people are in your midst and one person you're not getting clear answers from, you might be very frustrated and you might be turning to the other for that emotional comfort, okay? Um, in general, this is the way the cards are laid out. So a lot of you might be, trying to find that financial base or trying to establish that financial base so that you can appease this other person that you have a very strong, I guess, like physical attraction to. Okay. Um, I do feel that there is a little bit of a selfish energy about this fire sign that you're potentially dealing with. There's a fire sign. If it's not a fire sign, it can play out as somebody who's very spirited, who's kind of like, jumping first. But in this situation, he or she is kind of just sitting back and kind of like expected to for you to okay, so he or she is expecting you to wait on them hand and foot. So it's basically you're playing the servant here. You're like the peasant. You're, out toiling the fields. Whatever financial gains that you're getting, even though your clothes are in tatters, whatever you're getting, you're contributing to this other person's wealth, prestige, power, status, and you have very little left for yourself. So in general, I do feel that for Virgos, you do help people out a little too much and people do take advantage of you. Be very careful, okay? Again, this energy like appeared for January and February and it's cycling back in. Be very careful about who it is that you're offering your all to. Make sure that the other person is reciprocating because yeah, so if you look at this card, notice the closed fist. So if the situation had been reversed, I don't feel this person will contribute to your greater good, okay? So they're being waited on hand and foot here and they're not reciprocating. So it is a little bit problematic, okay? So I feel that a little bit of reassessment of your relationship or your, that primary person in your life is in order. So it's actually really important to ask those uncomfortable questions like, where are we going with this? Why am I always contributing so much and you're reaping all the benefits and I'm not getting anything in return, for example? So it's actually very important to ask, to be rational, but at the same time, don't hold your tongue, okay? This is suppressed communication. Demand and ask those important questions because you are giving too much and they're not reciprocating. Okay, that's another way that I am looking at that. There's a card that fell off. So let me see here. This is the Emperor in the reverse position. So aside from that energy, what I am sensing too is okay, so a lot of you are kind of like sick and tired of this, okay? Like this giving, 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 and you don't know when it's going to end. And a lot of you are just like at this point sort of fed up. And instead of like causing a scene, like I mentioned, this is like suppressed communication, okay? Suppressed anger as well. Instead of, having this blowout, okay? You're choosing to quietly walk away because that's what Virgos do. You're choosing to just, cut your losses, quietly slink away into the night, and without a lot of fanfare, without, having that blowout fight, without setting the balance, like that karmic balance, without even getting answers or closure that you need. You're just going to quietly take off in the middle of the night, okay? Is the energy that I am sensing here. It is problematic, excuse me, this goes right here. It is problematic because we have a karmic block here. So you're kind of like putting up with a situation, and the other person is not reciprocating, and you're not asking those important questions, and you're not like letting your voice be heard, and you're trying to like get away, like not get away, but you're trying to like make a you have an escape plan. You don't want to deal with this anymore because it's a little bit too uncomfortable, and you don't want to be confrontational. So you're going to, slither away. There's a karmic block here that is preventing you from making that really nice, clean escape, okay? And the karmic block is here mainly because you have to say your piece. You have to say what's on your mind. You can't be passive about it anymore, okay? So that's what I'm sensing here. If this is a situation that you're dealing with on the work front, it is really important for people to know that you're not going to put up with that type of behavior in which you're like shouldering the weight of the world, and you're the only one contributing, and other people are just like outside looking in, telling you what to do, but they're not lifting a finger. Okay, so this is an apprentice card, but what I'm sensing here is somebody is doing all the legwork, and the other people are also potentially reaping the benefits, okay? Maybe in greater percentage than you are. So it's not fair. Um, at the same time, this karmic block underneath it is as well for those of you who are thinking about, making like headway in new work projects. I do feel that you're, instead of like getting that, kind of like mid-career type of job that you're aiming for, a lot of you unfortunately might have to start from scratch. But I do feel it is going to be more favorable because you're learning a trade that is a little more, I guess, in alignment with your life path, is what I'm sensing. And at the same time, these people are giving you very good advice as to how you can build a firm foundation around that new endeavor, okay? So it can play out in those two ways depending on where you are in your current career path, okay? But in general, I'm going to pull out two cards, but in general, I do feel that for those of you who are walking away, and if this is a relationship that you are walking away from, I do feel that a little bit of a hiatus is in order for you. So, for example, you've invested a lot in this relationship, and it once was very promising. You gave, and the other person did not reciprocate or was not appreciative of your effort. You're walking away and you're hoping for new things. The new thing is not going to start yet, mainly because, first of all, you have to reconcile within yourself more than more than with the other person, excuse me. So it's kind of like you're kind of passively walking away from it, but you have to really come to terms with it within yourself. Why you had to do it that way, why you didn't ask those questions, why you didn't demand the closure and the answers that you need, okay? So that process is going to take a few months to heal. In general, I do feel, the three energy, 3 months, 3 weeks, it is going to take a little bit of time to heal. So maybe like maybe towards the end of August, maybe towards the end of August, like a 3 month period is in the works here. So yeah, the karmic block once again, this situation itself, you have to deal with it, okay? You have to also get the answers that you need before you can walk away. And in general, this is basically making the right choice. So just know you are on the right path, but sometimes the healing process starts from within. And it is important to get the answers that we want, we deserve, so that we can properly heal and we can properly understand our place in it as well as other people's intentions for us, okay? So you might have been in a situation where you gave and gave, and you don't know why the other person just doesn't cut you some slack, doesn't, reciprocate for you. So it's actually really important to understand what the hell they were thinking, where they're coming from, and why they feel that type of, behavior is okay, is acceptable. So it's actually important to get those answers. Okay, I was going to say it's important to get those important answers, but it's important to get those answers for you, for your own peace of mind, for closure, and for emotional peace. Okay, so if you are successful in doing that, I do feel this month is not going to be problematic for you. It is going to be a little bit difficult to get to that point where you are not afraid, where you're not timid, where you're not afraid to pry those answers out of somebody's mouth or even demand that they answer for their actions. Okay, so that's something that I would urge you strongly if you're dealing with this situation in any type of an interpersonal relationship. It is really important to demand answers. You deserve them more than anything. I do feel that this is an ongoing issue for those of you who are dealing with this energy on the work front. So for example, so you do a lot of work, you slave away, and you are the one that everyone dumps their responsibilities on. You're not getting adequate payment out of it. It is actually very important to figure out why, first of all. And then, secondly, if that's the situation and it is something that's new, this is a page energy, so it could be something that's new. It could also be something that is happening time and time and time again. You're going to walk away. I do feel that you have to really stand up for yourself, okay? This is standing up for yourself, demanding what's right, claiming your piece of the pie, claiming your financial payout, even, or, just especially what I am sensing here is claiming your domain, okay? So, like, standing up for yourself mainly, but being fair. Okay, the emperor is not a tyrant. The emperor is actually fair in the reverse position. Whoever you're dealing with, it could potentially be an Aries energy, or like a fire sign earlier I mentioned. So it's problematic in that fire signs are actually very generous, but in this situation, he or she is not operating at their best. So it's very problematic for you because you do try to accommodate people and you do try to make everyone comfortable, and you are very giving. So in this situation, it is important to reassess who you're dealing with, reassess your past history with them, and how much they are able to reciprocate for you in life in general, is what I'm sensing. So if you can navigate that situation, I do feel that it's not going to be something that you can walk, that you should go back to, okay? So it can be potentially dangerous if you're not careful and you go back to it, because it is going to destabilize you financially and emotionally. It is going to be destabilizing. So I do feel for this energy, don't go back to it. You have a new venture here that has a lot of is going to come to fruition, and it has a lot of potential. If you are to, this is a backward looking energy, if you are to sail back to old previous situations in love, in romance, in business, in financial security, for any of those things, I feel that it is not going to play out in your favor, okay? So it's just important to reassess what it is that you want to do in life and to figure out how you want to proceed with the situation. And in general, the middle of the spread is telling me that there's a new beginning here, okay? This is moving on. This is like moving on from something that's not easy to walk away from. You've invested a lot of feelings into it. But I do feel that the right thing to do is actually to proceed with new energy, okay? So going back to what I mentioned earlier, if there is somebody that you're dealing with, potentially an air sign, if that's something that's in your midst, or that's somebody that's in your midst, and you're either one, not getting clear answers from them, if this is a romantic interest, they're not very forthcoming with information, and I do feel It is for a reason, okay? So I'm not getting a bad vibe from this because this person is surrounded by rather good cards, okay? So if it's somebody that you're romantically linked with, they have a lot on their plate, first of all. They came from also a place of they're worn out. They're like really bombarded with a lot of things. They're just, tired. They're tired, and then they have to like go through the motions of trying to accommodate other people, and at the heart of it they're just really tired. They're worn out, they're just like yeah, they're worn out. So that's why they don't really want to talk about certain things. They might not be forthcoming with information. So it is important for you. The advice very early on in this spread is just, be very patient. Information will come to light if you are dealing with an air sign. Information will have to be extracted if you are dealing with a fire sign. Okay, so I hope that makes sense and that puts things into perspective for you. Just be aware that, Virgo is ruled by the planet Mercury, and we have Mercury in retrograde until June 11th. So, what I do feel is that once the cat's out of the bag, essentially, you're going to make a decision what you want to do. Okay, do you want to stay with the old person or the new person? And it could be vice versa. It could be the old person is here, the new person, or new person and old person. So it can work out multiple ways. But what I do feel is that you're kind of like pushing, pushing, pushing for new information, or yeah, like a direction. And then once the cat's out of the bag, once you have all that information, you're just like, I wish I had known, because it is potentially damaging to me. So I wish I had known. And then you're going to have to make the tough choice here, okay, to stay or walk away. And the cards advise you that you can emotionally walk away. You are going to emotionally walk away from this because you can't really recover from this. However, it's a mental energy as well. The swords are mental, so you emotionally you're done, but there might be like some type of situation in which, for example, if you're dealing with a divorce, emotionally you're done, but there are assets linked together with you and another party that has to be divvied up, that has to involve like a lawyer, for example. So there's going to be blockages in having a clean break, okay? And because of it, this process is going to get dragged on. And I do feel it is going to get dragged on in through June, July, possibly, okay? So, for those of you who are dealing with divorce proceedings, and if it has been initiated within the Mercury in retrograde period, it is going to be a little bit troublesome. So, I hope you haven't done it yet. If you can, wait to file divorce papers like June 15th, 16th, the earliest, okay? So, if you've done it during the Mercury in retrograde, it is going to be a little bit problematic, okay? So, that can be how that situation is going to play out for you. It might be a little more costly than you anticipated as well because it is going to get drawn out and those court fees are adding up. And at the same time, it is not going to be the swift victory that you'd hope for. So if you are filing divorce papers, if you are filing separation papers or, restraining orders as well, this is also, yeah, I'm getting restraining order, kind of like, restraint with the strength card. Um, and I do feel that for those who are going through that, try to wait until the 16th of June at the earliest before you can do that for yourself, okay? And let me see if there's anything else I've left out here. I know this is not an overly romantic spread, it's not, but I do sense that there are a lot of work that needs to be wrapped up, okay? So this is a busy card. Um, so there's a lot of like tying up loose ends, a lot of, we have two walking away situations. We have a lot of busy energy, and we do have like, work, finance work, and things like that all wrapped up for this month. And I do feel that it is a month of tying up loose ends before you can move forward and achieve the future that you want. Okay, so in general, it's walking away, moving on, but at the same time, physically you're able to walk away, but physically, emotionally, you're able to walk away. But there are like intangible things such as, assets, or even like physical property, maybe even kids that you are trying to divvy up. I don't know how these divorces work, but like maybe even kids, maybe like even custody issues that you're trying to figure out how to navigate, okay? So, in general, Virgos, I hope you have a wonderful month regardless of this. Either way, I would strongly advise you to be patient, okay? And we'll do the weekly readings and we can flush out a lot of this energy. I'm pretty sure this is just, the main things coming in for the month is that the Emperor. You're going to have to, timing is going to be a big factor here. So just hang in there, okay? And I do feel this energy is going to alleviate for you. But more than anything, I feel that emotionally and physically you're able to move on. But there are loose ends, there are assets that needs to be divvied up between two parties. So you're still kind of entangled, but not in a messy way because emotionally you're kind of cutting them off, okay? So either way, really speak up for yourself this month, okay? And just keep in mind, if you're dealing with an air sign, information is going to be forthcoming soon, like towards the later half of this month. If you're dealing with a fire sign, I do feel that these things need to be said and said up front, and information needs to be extracted. So that's something to keep in mind when you're dealing with very opposing signs. They're opposing one another, but they're also very opposite from you. So that's something that when air signs withhold information, it's for a good reason. When fire signs, especially reverse fire signs, I do feel that because it's going to be possibly like it might chip away at their reputation. Okay, so that's something that you might want to keep an eye out for. Okay, so know who you're dealing with and know why the information is not disclosed. Okay.